Let's get that switched over. Starting out with Slappydavis as Pearls in 3, 2, 1 Planet. Casting mode is not enabled. I'm going to pause and go and turn that on. Starting out at the front windows, waiting for our seduction target to settle in so we can pick up our first flirt. She unfortunately paths past where we thought she was going to land. We do a little bit of a redirect to chase her. Pearl's a slower character on Veranda, which is one of the bigger venues, can sometimes be an issue if you get an ST that's not cooperating, or a double agent that doesn't want to cooperate, or fingerprints that are very spread out. So we may see a time ad here by Slappy. And we do go for the quick flirt into leave. I don't think we broke any animations on the way out though. YerAnd's got some highlights on Oprah, Boots and Disney, and now Smallman. And we're heading over to the side window pad near blue. I wonder if we're going to get a time ad considering how slow our character is. We don't, and it's very curious that Slappy left that conversation to reset the flirt cooldown, which is fine, but elects to go to the other side of the venue to wait for it. Wasting a lot of time here with that, and we're also seen walking a little bit more in the sniper's mind, especially because we're slower, so we're on screen walking for longer than if we were a faster character. We're in conversation here with the double agent. Set up for a possible reverse drive-by if the AMBA decides to go between the conversations. If the AMBA just walks along the side, I don't think it would reach. 2 highlights go for the briefcase, which is good for us. And we invested a lot of time into conversation with that double agent and then never actually went for the banana bread. I would have preferred to see the contact there after idling kind of with the double agent for so long. Instead, we go over to our seduction target and hit a flirt, up to 85%. Join back in with the double agent. Heading in for our first inspect, and we are really struggling on time here. We're going to pick up a highlight for the inspect at about 1:30, and we go for a front statue swap. I wonder if that was an accident or if Slappy is just reading into YerAnd's gameplay and not focusing on the swap here. Now, we do see a ton of low lights come off. So YerAnd, I believe these are low lights for can't have swapped. And there's just no way we're going to finish. I mean, at this point, YerAnd knows that Pearls was the one that swapped it, and he believes also that it could have been Alice or the other that was there first, and we just take the shot there from YerAnd onto Slappy for the white swap there. So that's going to be first point for YerAnd. And Veranda statistically has a very high sniper win rate, so not surprising. I mean, you've got to go for stuff as spy regardless. You've got to go for plays. I'm not sure that that was the play. Let's actually take a look and see if we were framing someone or if we were just okay, so we were framing Boots. That was a frame attempt, so that makes a little bit more sense. Boots was a highlight. She did have that briefcase from what I recall, and oh, it was actually the other, no, that was the right statue. Other than that, what else did Boots get here? Let's take a look. She had the briefcase. She's been to green. A little bit of a watch check. She had full inspects. But she didn't really have time in there to flirt. Right? She was not almost... She was barely ever in conversation. So that's unfortunate for Slappy there. I just don't think she even had time to get flirt done, and she only had maybe, full inspects. So the YerAnd would have to be crediting a lot for that to be a shot onto boots there. And again, we just saw a bit of a pacing issue with Slappy with the slower character not getting enough mission progress. I was playing Slappy, I think it was yesterday or maybe the day before, and I did feel that his pacing sometimes, like, I started to learn that I could just hold my shot against him some of the times because he would spend a lot of the game idling a bit and then trying to rush down something at the end. So I could kind of just hold my shot and then either look for someone doing, something very obvious at the end of the game, or he was just going to time out. So we'll see if that's going to continue against YerAnd here, or if Slappy can pick up the pace in kind of the early and mid game portions. We do got our next one up. And we're going to have YerAnd on Rocker. Pretty passive start. We're up to 51% flirt, which is great. Quite a few highlights for this early game. Second flirt up to 83%. And for now, we're just hanging out with our seduction target. I do think that YerAnd needs to leave at this point and maybe work on some other missions. Going for a full 3 flirt, timer flirt on Veranda, you're going to be struggling with time unless you go for a time ad or rush through some hard tells.
And the end of red.
Go for the reverse drive by bug there. Take a contact. And a bit of a slow game. We're still just kind of hanging out where we started. Almost was able to get a walking bug with the ambassador there, but it doesn't quite line up timing wise. We're going to split and go over to blue books. Slappy keeping a close eye on the list. And it's a full innocent book visit. Which we're not, obviously we know from spectator side that we're not really suspected to be the spy. So the innocent book, a bit of a waste of time. It does look like we're going to path over to the ambassador. We probably could have gotten that bug. We may even be credited with bug just based on the path. We came pretty close to him there. Maybe we're going to go for the bug on the way out? Or we're just waiting for fingerprint. So we're going to rush into green, pull the book to get the fingerprint, and then we may be able to get briefcase, but it looks like Irish is going to steal it. Laser's rotated all the way around here. YerAnd does have a little bit of time before the laser's back, doesn't capitalize on it, and just takes the fingerprint. We're at a minute left. We've got one fingerprint, 83% of a flirt, and a contact. We've got to get a lot done. It looks like YerAnd was keeping track of where the Emba had been, picks up the second fingerprint off of the statue here, goes for the inspect. Laser's rotated around, so we're not going to go for the swap. I would expect swap probably as the last mission on our second visit. Now we are in a position where if we can find our ST, hit the flirt, we can go for an inspect swap. We get a safety toggle off onto Rocker and Mom. Maybe that was meant to be on Pearls because Mom's not even a highlight. We go for a bug on the way out. It doesn't land. We join, talk, and stop talk. Slappydavis is sure at this point that confirms his suspicion that Rocker is the spy and takes the shot for a 1-1 tie thus far. Stop talking and Slappy, you wanna die. Yeah, bit of a slow play from YerAnd, which put him in the position to have to do something like quick join, talk, stop talk. I mean, if you cut out some of these, like this innocent blue visit, you may have had enough time to where you didn't have to do something like that. I'm not quite sure what this is for. You didn't have inspect at this point. You had no reason to think that you're under suspicion. And so that was just kind of, I mean, it's just idling for the sake of idling. I'm not sure I'm a fan of idling unless you think you're a suspect and you're trying to lose heat. Again, here, you almost may as well just take that bug because from the sniper's position, that looks like bug. And you're probably credited with it anyways. If your intent here is to just wait for fingerprint, then why not go this way and land next to your ST and finish up that flirt? It looks like you would have had time. I mean, of course you don't know that as you're doing it. I guess you're maybe worried about flirt pairing, but I don't know. If your opponent is, if you're worried that your opponent is flirt pairing that hard on veranda with 21 guests, then go do some hardtails because there's no way they're flirt tracking that precisely and also watching everything else. All right. Let's see how YerAnd responds on the sniper side. We've got Slappydavis playing as Rocker, who YerAnd just was. We've got a highlight onto wheels for statues, and a highlight onto Smallman because he's Smallman. I think, at least, that's why he was highlighted. Looks like Slappy is hunting down for our seduction target general. Join in and pick up our first flirt. Up to 33%. Everybody leaves. We reject a drink and leave that area there. We do pass by the ambassador for what could have looked like a walking bug. I believe that YerAnd was watching it and it probably would have been seen. We're going to pick up a highlight for going to statues here, which is unfortunate because it's going to be hard to get these other hardtails done as a highlight, though there's quite a few of them at this point. YerAnd paying close attention to the guest list. Slappy not able to pick up his next flirt as the conversation containing his seduction target is full. So he's going to head over to the side window to idle for a little bit, see where ST lands or see if a spot opens up next to him. And Slappy electing to get inspects to finish here at the 3-minute mark. I expect to see a bit of just conversation idling after this point. Probably work on flirt and contact a bit before we start focusing on our other missions. That way the recent suspicion of having finished inspects hopefully dies down a little bit. Get our second flirt up to 67%. And I think we're just going to timer flirt here. I went for a walking bug. Doesn't look like it was noticed. We're going to take an innocent drink, again to try and lose some suspicion for having finished inspects. Amba joins next to us, but we have a drink in hand, so we can't get bug. We're not going to get credited with bug. Flirt cooldown is up, and we're going to wrap up Seduce here. Let's take a look at where our double agent is. It should be I think it's Seek behind us here. We're going to leave conversation and cut through it rather than around it. Get a little bit of a bump. We go for a redirect. Slappy hangs out at the front window, probably waiting for the double agent to finish up that inspect so we can join them.
In the end of red.
And we go for the green with the double agent right as we join. We go for a quick split over to green books. And I'm hoping we don't go for the microfilm animation, and we're just going to pull this book out and bring it to red later. But we do see the laser and YerAnd's camera hanging on the left side against Rocker. We elect to go for the innocent green visit. Looks like just trying to get the credit for the the BB split there. We're going to pick up briefcase and get our first fingerprint, but it's a little bit late to try and get fingerprints through unless he already knows where the second one is. Your other eye is going to have to rush down that statue that the ambassador's holding, which could work if you go for the fingerprint swap, but without letting that fingerprint cook, it's going to look fairly suspicious and probably net a shot. Doesn't look like the other highlights are really doing too much either. We don't go for the bug, but we are going to rush in for this fingerprint. Let's see what happens. Here's going to be the fingerprint. Expect a swap next. We go for the swap. It's on screen. And YerAnd's on top of it. Yeah, fairly expected. Slappy kind of running out of options at the end. That was really his only path to going for the mission complete there. And again, a little bit of a pacing issue. We had to rush down that second fingerprint because we were running out of time. You know, if we had an extra 40 seconds on the clock or 60 seconds on the clock and we let that fingerprint sit for a little bit and then we went for it into the swap, we may be in a better position. Just quickly reviewing to see if there's anywhere we could have saved time. You obviously can't just rush from mission site to mission site, so you've got to put some idling in. This is all good. I think maybe to save some time here, instead of timer flirting for I think all three of them, or two of them at least, maybe leave general, go do something else. Maybe take that innocent drink as an excuse to leave the conversation and then come back, so you can get that flirt wrapped up a little bit faster. The green makes sense. You're going for the split, so yeah, that would be the only thing is maybe leave general to get the flirt cooled down a little bit faster. See what YerAnd does as Kane. There might have been a little bit of stutter on the take control at the very beginning. Get lucky and Smallman decides to stand next to us. Take our first flirt for 51%.
In the end of red.
Going for the early contact. Got 1, 2 low lights. We got a couple low lights for I think what are suspected fake banana breads. And at some point, we snuck in a bug. I was focused more on the lowlights, as was Slappy, and we both seem to have missed wherever this bug happened. Probably a reverse drive-by considering YerAnd's position. That's a common reverse drive-by spot for when the ambassador is going to those statues or blue books. And YerAnd is on good pacing at the moment. We've got bug, we've got contact, we've got 51% on our flirt. At this point, I think we can probably leave this conversation unless we're going to go for a purloin. Okay. And a little bit of a rush down by YerAnd here. He was in the lead, and this is a pretty big, I think, unnecessary risk. I don't know if we need this purloin. Not sure that it's even been noticed yet. We haven't seen any zoom on it. And without the zoom, it's hard to be sure. Right there, it's pretty clear that it's gone at this point. I think that YerAnd could have maybe went for a gulp there. He hasn't seen any sporadic laser movement that you normally see after a purloin. You see them bouncing the laser all over, going for lowlights and highlights. And YerAnd picks up a highlight. Very interesting. Not sure what for. Well, at this point, I think YerAnd can probably freely finish up Flirt. I don't think he's going to get shot for flirting here, which is going to leave him with a fifth mission that he's going to have to complete, and I'm actually a bit worried about Inspect. With that recent highlight, that means he's going to have to do 2 statue visits in under a minute. And he's picked up an innocent drink to try and lose some heat that he, I guess, knows that he has. We're going to head over to the side statue. I've got to imagine that the 5th mission is not going to be Inspect at this point with that drink. And we sip, check watch, sip again. We could step into statues that has that fingerprint. We elect not to. We're going to leave that statue set and cross over to the front right statues, which I'm expecting is going to be a swap here. The unfortunate part is that there's not much for Slappy to watch. The guest list is gone. The Amba was safe. He's a little bit unsafe now for potential reverse drive-bys or a bug from Seek. YerAnd picks up statue and goes for the green swap. Let's see how Slappy responds. Is he going to hold his shot and wait for OT beeps? YerAnd stepping into the second set of statues. This is going to force the rotate by Slappy to look for the swap on that one. He could also finish up Inspect. There we go. Clock hangs due to swap, and we finish up Inspect to cause the OT beeps, and a Civ shot comes off onto Tex. Let's take a look at why Tex was the one that was shot. He was in the back conversation here. Not sure what he's doing. Okay, so he's talking. Mission win pending. I have no idea why Tex is shot there. If anyone has any clues as to why, I would love to know, but unless you're thinking that he time added and then did a flirt finish, I mean, I guess that would be the suspicion here, but did Slappy even check for the swap on Kane? Yeah, he did. I don't know. Maybe he phantomed to swap and he saw Tex leaving this area, thought that he was coming from statue when he was actually coming from conversation. I'm not sure, but that's going to be another point for YerAnd, taking us to 3-1 as we exit Veranda and head into our next venue, which is going to be Courtyard. Slappydavis starting out as general with a white time ad on screen. And we see a highlight onto Duke, which means I don't think the time ad has been noticed. We've got another highlight onto Smallman, because he's Smallman. Sorry, it picks up a highlight for getting her inspects done. And at this point, Slappy is just now getting his first inspect up to 34%. 3 minutes left on the clock. Still a lot of options here. Courtyard doesn't really open up until you start looking at what the 4th mission is going to be. Slappy is likely to get Seduce Contact and Inspect. And the strategy just comes down to when you decide to take your Inspect, whether it's before or after the banana bread or before or after your 4th mission. And the other aspect is, what is that fourth mission going to be? Is Slappy going to be trying to set up for a bug? Is he going to be trying to grab fingerprints from the ambassador? Or even the uncommon option of getting Purloin? We do pick up our first fingerprint, which is going to lead me to believe our fourth mission objective here is going to be fingerprints. We now only need one more. Going to chase down our ST, but looks like we're going to space out the flirt. Worried about flirt pairing here. Or crowding. We're going to join and flirt up to 59%. I think Slappy could leave this conversation after this talk. I haven't seen any reason that that would be punished as of yet. And Slappy eyeing down the ambassador, trying to see where he can pick up a second fingerprint. YerAnd just playing standard here. Keeping eyes on the ambassador, keeping eyes on the guest list, keeping track of who's been to statues. Curious to see if YerAnd has tracking on the fingerprints though. Get our next flirt, cross conversation, up to 85%. I think we just broke idle animation. I kind of looked away for a moment to leave that conversation. We're going to join in with our double agent and probably go for our banana bread here. We do see a drink in hand from the ambassador, so we could maybe call over Toby. Real BB goes off. Reaction from YerAnd is a low light onto Sari and Smallman. And contemplates low lighting Alice and or Pearls, but thinks better of it as they could have been splitters. Gonna step over to our ST to try and finish up flirt, but he ends up bailing. And YerAnd low lighting someone that goes over to the double agent post BB. Alright, we're in a pretty tough position as we need to still get our inspect and second fingerprint, and we're at the 20-second mark. Not sure that we're going to be able to finish with fingerprints here, or it's going to be extremely close. I don't think there's enough time on the clock to get 2 inspects and then rush that briefcase down. It's going to have to be inspect swap if we want to finish, if there's even enough time for that. You've got to swap now. 1 second left. Swap is pending green. Clock hangs, which is good. Let's watch how YerAnd reacts. And that was just like, there was pretty much no time left. Bit of a miss pad there, but it's probably going to go unnoticed as it looks like we're standing on one of them. Anyhow, we're going to go for the white Purloin in the face of the sniper. Not sure that that was necessary. Let's take a look at our statue that was swapped. Which one was it? This one here? Had anyone even stepped up to swap it for us yet? Alice was called over, but it hadn't even engaged. Yeah, questionable checker Purloin there. And that's going to be another point for YerAnd. Stay here, skip to next. Is it because I'm not at the end of this one? Oh, skip to next. Hopefully I didn't miss anything. We'll see what YerAnd does at Spy here. I mean, I understand, you know, as YerAnd I think did that on Veranda, of finishing a mission while your actual fifth is pending. So a green swap, you know, pending into finishing inspect or doing something else so that that timing of when the OT beeps happen don't line up with that swap going off anyways. Just using it as a way to make the clock hang while you do something else. But Purloin on Courtyard, well, you've got the swap hanging, I'm not quite sure about. I mean, if it was, it has to be a white, otherwise if it's a green, the swap's going to happen first anyways, but nonetheless, on to the next game. YerAnd starts off with a bit of idling and is going to hunt down his ST to pick up the first flirt for, drumroll, 51%. He's landing a lot of green flirts at the start. Pofke saying he was dead either way. Maybe. Swap hadn't even happened yet. I mean, maybe he gets away with the swap.
Banana bread.
We're going to go for the banana bread here. Fairly early. It's prior to inspect, but we do have a green purloin pending. It's taken. Highlight onto Alice. And it looks like, just like me, Slappy was not onto that purloin. I hadn't noticed at all. And you're in a great position. We're going to pick up our inspects, and all we've got to do is flirt, which means that Slappy is going to have to take a shot for a flirt finish on courtyard on a non-highlight. It's a pretty tall order. Unnecessary briefcase to pick up one fingerprint. YerAnd may be going for that idea of leaving a mission on the board half completed in the sniper's eyes, so the sniper is kind of waiting for YerAnd to get that second fingerprint before shooting, but I don't even think it's necessary, considering we just need a flirt. We may have also been obligated to grab the briefcase. I wasn't paying too close attention to that, but nonetheless, we hit our second green flirt of the match, of the round, to lock in another mission complete for YerAnd. So YerAnd up. Surprisingly, is it really only? It doesn't feel like it should be 5-1. It's felt closer than that, but I mean, if that's what the scoreboard says. And a good bit of a rush by YerAnd here. I want to see where we get this green purloin. So it's here. We get the green purloin, and then we go for the contact. I don't even think at this point that Slappy was necessarily keeping track of the rejects. I mean, if so, we should have been on the list of suspects.
Banana bread.
And the banana bread is going to distract here. Yeah, it's a good green BB into contact here. All right, let's see if Slappy can get a point on the board and get this comeback started as Sorry here. We're going to take control, do a bit of redirecting. Bug is an option right now. We elect not to go for it and space out away from the ambassador. Pick up our first flirt for 51%. It's a good start. Slappy going for fingerprint again. Goes for the briefcase return and should be noticing here that the ambassador just took a drink. I'd say maybe go for the difficult.
Banana bread.
We go for the contact. Now would be a good time to request Toby here and go for the difficult fingerprint, as the sniper's likely distracted from your banana bread. Oh, please request Toby over. We don't. We leave conversation. We're probably going to go next to Tex here, but the fingerprint is now gone. Looks like Slappy may just be afraid to go for the request against YerAnd, but he does pick up the bug as the ambassador enters. It was visible on screen, but it looked, kind of like maybe Slappy was just idling there. We did just leave mid-idle animation. Not sure if it was noticed by YerAnd, though. Heading into the AMBA, or to our ST rather, ends up bailing before we can get the flirt, but at this point Slappy's on pace to go for a statueless courtyard game, which is extremely strong, especially if he can get a fingerprint off of something that's obviously not statue. I would have loved to seen that drink request post BB. That way we could have fingerprint in the bag and all we have to do is flirt. Unfortunately, our ST is not cooperating at the moment, not joining conversations and just kind of ditching us. We're going to pick up our last flirt, hit the green test up to 100%, and right now all we need is one fingerprint with 50 seconds on the clock. We could have possibly shoved ourselves next to Amba to invade space. We're going to reject. I think we probably could have just hung out there and wasted time in that conversation, since we're just waiting for a fingerprint anyways. There we go. We get briefcase down. Let's go stand next to Wheels and start talking, I think. Wheels leaves. We're now hoping that the ambassador leaves. Ambassador unfortunately leaves to a spot right next to us, so we're not going to be able to take the briefcase without forcing it and probably getting shot. If you're Slappy here, here we go. We go for the briefcase as the ambassador steps away. There is going to be some overtime, probably about 5 seconds of overtime. And overtime while we're holding the briefcase is going to look suspicious. YerAnd lines up the shot, takes and hits Slappy, taking the 6-1 lead. Just very unfortunate timing and luck with the ambassador there for the Amba to not leave that briefcase a little bit faster than we needed. That round was I think probably an easy win for Slappy if he had just requested that fingerprintable drink around the time of that banana bread. I think it probably would have been free. You know, if the sniper was distracted by the banana bread, I think we could have requested it over and not had to worry about it, not have to worry about it kind of too much there. So let's take a look. So we return. So I think just request right here after Alice. So it looks like he was going to you anyways. Unless you can't. I mean, maybe Toby doesn't reach right there. I don't know. Maybe that's why he left. But again, even if that was the case, request here. Yes, Toby's going to kind of like turn around and go back, but I mean, you've got to do something this round. You know, I think you probably could have gotten away with it. Last round of Courtyard, you're into Pearls. Yeah, pretty bad luck from Slappy there with the ambassador not leaving the briefcase, but it's something that you've got to be prepared for. Sometimes getting a fingerprint, especially on Courtyard with no books, can be hard. So when you have an opportunity to take a fingerprint, you've really got to capitalize on it. You're in here watching the ambassador, seeing that we're going to have a fingerprintable statue that he might pick up later. Will's going to pick up that briefcase. We're going to go for the briefcase cancel. Over to our ST. Now, we haven't really seen any lowlights for bouncing redirects or briefcase cancels or anything like that, but maybe there's some mental lowlighting going on. We're going to get our first flirt. Has YerAnd missed a green flirt as his first? I feel like every time he goes for his first flirt in this entire set, it's always green. I'm sure there was a couple that weren't, but it seems like a lot of the time he's hitting green. We do pick up a difficult fingerprint from the drink, but we don't land the action test, so we don't get the mission credit. Good to go for it. I don't think he's getting the credit for a fingerprint. I think that was pretty much a free attempt. Unfortunately, our ST leaves, and I believe Alice is picking up that fingerprint that we were eyeing earlier on the statue, so it would be a difficult. Briefcase is available for grabs. We'll see if YerAnd goes for it. Looks like Taft is going to grab it. Got quite a few statue goers here. And here we're just idling. YerAnd has enough of a lead that he can just throw stuff away here. He doesn't necessarily need to win this round. And right now I'd say he's on pace to kind of struggle towards the end. He's already secured, what, is it 6-1? He's secured a marble already. So he's got a lot of time to play.
Banana bread.
Step in, go for the green BB. We're going to pick up our next flirt up to 85%. So with no fingerprints in pocket, I don't think YerAnd's fourth mission is going to be fingerprint. We go for the purloin and it's green. Again, action tests just really doing work for YerAnd. We go for the walking bug, and due to the camera position and rotation at the time, not sure that Slappy saw it. Purloin goes off. This is going to be a statue-less game. We're going to step back in with Queen. But before we can even do so to get the flirt, we take a civ shot onto Irish, closing out the set 7-1. Assuming I managed to